Hello everyone, dear science lovers. Today we will talk about a genius who lit the light of civilization in the Renaissance period, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo's father, who is from Florence, is a notary and landlord. And her mother is a peasant girl. Leonardo is out of wedlock, and after the birth, his father has taken custody of Leonardo. His father took great care of Leonardo to be in the elite of society and ensure that his son had a very high-quality education process. Fond of reading, writing, and arithmetic as well as art, Leonardo's life is still inspired by many people. Because you can hear his name in art, architecture, astronomy, geology, botany, mathematics, painting, sculpting, and engineering. Let's try to get a deep understanding of our science and art uncle. Although Leonardo was subjected to maltreatment at that time because he was an out of wedlock, he was indeed a lucky child. Since he was a child out of wedlock, he had no chance to go to university. However, his father offered him the best educational opportunities possible. According to his father, one of the most important things was reputation in society. Therefore, he always worked to bring himself and his son to the elite of society. When he was about 15 years old, he started studying arts such as sculpture and painting by the artist Andrea del Verrocchio. He was both acquiring technical knowledge and putting them into practice. It was a great advantage that he started his art life at an early age. In addition, he learned how to play lyre in Verrocchio's workshop and developed himself in the fields of painting, sculpture and music, creating an artist personality. Furthermore, in this workshop, he was also interested in designing building machines and weapons, and made himself a technically competent individual about them. Later he went from Florence to Milan to work. On his way to serve the Duke of Milan, he left with enormous claims from Florence. So much so that, for the Duke, he said he could build ships, bronze, weapons, bridges, as well as sculpture and paintings. Talking so assertively in so many fields is probably something we rarely encounter in history. He did really most of the things he said. He had such services in Milan for 17 years, that it would not be wrong to say that he was the person who carried Milan's culture for those times. These efforts continued until 17 years later when Milan was invaded by the French. Of course, he also did anatomy studies and gave lectures to students on this subject. Frankly, he also had many unfinished jobs. Because there was not enough time left for so much work and study. Imagine that Leonardo also has enough life. We think that life would still be insufficient for him. He got into the habit of taking notes in 1490-1495 to record his interrupted works that he could not even remember to return. These notes and studies have now been collected through museums and personal collections. One of these personal collections belongs to Bill Gates. He prepared the collection of Leonardo's works in the field of hydraulics. Leonardo da Vinci, who spent his life with such an intense love of work, passed away in 1519. Leaving dozens of unfinished works that have been discussed even centuries later. His artistic aspects. Leonardo came to the fore with his work The Baptism of Christ after entering Verrocchio's workshop. It is thought that his work about the Virgin Mary, which he completed for the first time later, describes humanism. Because even when the person who is symbolized as the Virgin Mary sees before her with wings, and another being presumed to be an angel, Virgin Mary responds to his greetings, and does not subject him to any discrimination. After these early works, he began to receive commissions in the 1480s and attempted to produce other works in return for these commissions. He never finished 2 of the 3 works he was working hard at that time, and it took so long to make the third one that he eventually clashed with the brokers. The works of Saint Jerome and Ermine Lady were his works that made his voice heard. In addition, his self-portrait and his works named Vitruvian Man played a role in his becoming famous. While continuing his work in this way, in the 16th century he painted the most well-known painting in the world. Mona Lisa. The reason Mona Lisa attracts so much attention is because of the smile of the person in the picture, but the different feelings of the smile, the mysterious appearance and the look and attitude. His scientific aspects. Leonardo cared about observationalism in science. He cared understanding any phenomenon by observing it down to the last detail. He would not be interested in the theoretical dimension of the phenomenon. Perhaps because of the importance he placed on this observation, his interest in anatomy grew. Because anatomy was a branch of science that was understood through observations and studies rather than theory. So, while he was an artist, he also became proficient in topographic anatomy. Leonardo was also an engineer, as well as a versatile and competent engineer. He produced and drew many tools, from ornithopters to combat vehicles and various farming equipment. Ornithopters are artificial instruments that fly by flapping their wings. If you are interested, you can find more in our aviation history video. So much so that when Milan was occupied, he went to Venice and found a job there as an engineer. The most important thing he did there was he had created a moving barricade system to protect Venice from attack. In our opinion, the most discussed issue is Leonardo da Vinci's love of work. Leonardo da Vinci, with his many unfinished and completed works in many fields, still manages to attract attention for 5 centuries and winking at us from the Renaissance with the question of what he would have done if he had lived a little longer.